Alright, what's up guys? Look, welcome to my Wiimote settings video. It's a long time coming, I know. Look, I'm sorry for that, but the reason for that is because up until now, the Wiimote's pretty much been stuffed, so I haven't really been able to do a Wiimote settings video. And even though they fixed it like a couple of weeks ago now, it's been what, 2 weeks or so since they fixed it. I still haven't been able to do a video because I honestly haven't really come to a good settings myself. I've been still testing stuff out, trying different sensitivities and whatever. My button config is down. I've had that down pretty much since like the game came out because I had prepared for it and stuff, from the other games. But look, I've come to a pretty good setting now for all of my Wiimote stuff, camera sensitivities and all that. It's pretty tight, it's pretty fast, so I don't think it'll be for everyone. And as usual, look, these settings aren't going to be, you know, they're not going to be universal. Like it works for me, it might not work for you. Like you might find that it's really good, or you might find that it sucks. So that's the way it is with Wimo. Everyone has their own sort of preferences. So let's not spend too much time just talking about that stuff. Let's actually go through the settings. All right, so here's my button config. Um, it's the same button config I use in Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 1 for the Wii. I have done a button layout thingy for Modern Warfare 3 actually a while ago. And it's the only difference here between that one and this one is that I've now changed my reload button from minus to down on the D-pad. So my melee, whatever you want to call it, is now swapped from down on the D-pad to minus. And that's it. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So let's move right along. And if you want to know like all the reasons behind why I've done the settings the way I've done it here, I can, that's all explained in my previous video, which I'll probably put a link to in the bottom of this video in the description. But the reason for that change that I've done for down on the D-pad is because it's so much easier to push a reload when it's down on the D-pad, and that's important when it comes to pump cancelling with the Remington and the KSG. So that's the reason I've done that. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got? Hang on. There we go. Okay, so we've got aim styles. Here, really the only option that's sort of important here is look spring. And I've made sure that's disabled because I like to not have the game automatically put my cursor to the center of the screen because that's just stupid. Scope reticule could also be important for Wiimote users. But that's only if you're going to be using scopes, so like sniper rifles and stuff. And if you are using scopes, then you've got balls because there's like no way I can use scopes with the Wiimote. Okay, next one. Okay, all of them maxed. Horizontal speed, vertical speed, ADS horizontal and ADS vertical. All of them maxed, and that's because I control the way my cursor moves on the screen using the camera sensitivity primarily, as well as the cursor speed and cursor sensitivity. So that's why I can max all this stuff out. It's actually interesting. Just before I move on, you can actually get the same sort of feel using your Wiimote with two entirely different settings. You can actually tweak your settings such that it's controlled via camera speed, and so these settings, and then you have the other settings, the other stuff changed in a different way. But yeah, you can sort of achieve the same feel using in 2 or 3 even entirely different settings. It just depends on how you configure it. But I don't configure it using camera speed, so this is all maxed. And you'll see the next slide here. Okay, so this is where I control how my cursor feels. Cursor sensitivity is at 20. Interestingly, the cursor sensitivity at 20 is not what it was before the patch. Man, it's hot. It's a real scorcher today here in Perth. Anyway, so yeah, look, cursor sensitivity is at 20 is not what it was like before they even fixed cursor sensitivity. Before they fixed cursor sensitivity, I think the default was like 0. So cursor sensitivity 20 is sort of like halfway because the max is 40. So that's still kind of undecided. I keep it on 20. Sometimes I try 25. Sometimes I try 30. It kind of just depends because the cursor doesn't always feel the same. It's really weird. Like if you're host, the cursor feels differently to when you're not host. If you've got a 3-bar connection, the cursor feels differently to if you've got a 4-bar non-host connection. The cursor keeps changing its feel subtly. It's not a lot. It just changes it a little bit. And so sometimes 20 is good, but sometimes you need 30. It just depends on the connection, I guess. It's really weird. If you guys have noticed, like if you've got a 1-bar connection and you use the Wiimote, the cursor just feels different. Like your whole, even like that, your aiming skips, and it's just so weird. I don't know. I can't explain it. Cursor speed is at absolute zero. Well, actually, it's not, because absolute zero is something like minus 274 degrees Celsius or something, but it's at zero. And camera sensitivity is 11. I sometimes change that to 12. Again, depends on the connection, but it doesn't change all that much, 11 or 12. And again, scope sensitivity, I actually did try and use the scope once, and that should be zero, because scope sensitivity, when you've got the scope aiming style set to floating, you need it zero. Otherwise, it's just so incredibly sensitive. It's crazy. And I think that covers everything. Let's have a quick look here. What's this? ADS reach 40. That's kind of important. And I didn't bother showing you my dead zones because they're all set to the smallest they can be. It's just the same as I've had it in Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 1. Again, I don't control the way my cursor feels using dead zones and stuff. I do it all through the camera sensitivity option. So those are my settings. I don't know how useful they'll be. As far as I can tell, there's like 5 people in Australia that use the Wiimote. So yeah, I doubt it'll be very useful. I don't know how many people overseas internationally use Wiimote and will find this helpful. If it did, then great. I'm happy I could help out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was going to end this video actually on a slide of my combat record with all my KDR and stuff. But look, KDR doesn't mean crap in this game. It doesn't mean crap in any game really, because you've got corner campers, all sorts of things. But look, I'll save that probably for another commentary. But look, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy it and have a nice day. See you later.